Isaac Dulgarian cut from the UFC following his loss last night. I mean, where he was accused of fixing the fight. Odds swayed about 30 minutes before the fight. They went from what? Let me see here. I got it written down. Odds went from minus 270 to minus 150 in about a 30-minute time span before Dulgarian and Del Valle walked out. They're saying maybe an injury was leaked, the fix was in. It's now been revealed that Isaac Dulgarian has been linked to James Krause. In connection with Krause is crazy work when accused of fight fixing. And since we're discussing it, I might as well kind of just give you the rundown of the backstory before we talk about Isaac getting cut. But there's a report that came out, and it goes, nothing confirmed obviously, but I'm hearing that there's something going on with Dulgarian versus Del Valle. Not sure if concerns are about a fix or injury. Friend who works at Hard Rock says that they got five very large bets from different people on Del Valle round one. Activity was flagged in their system, and apparently there is lots of buzz about it there right now. Apparently also the sports books closed. I think before the previous fight was even concluded, betting lines closed on this fight. So you couldn't bet on this fight for a hot minute before it even started. Now, obviously, Dulgarian went on to get submitted in the first round by rear naked choke. I mean, I was sold. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was fucking sold. In real time, I gave the man credit. I was like, he's a stubborn mule, didn't want to tap. Like, he fought that shit really tough. Then I hop off stream. I get online a little bit. And this dude is fucking getting accused left and right of fight fixing. And I'm just like, bro, what the hell is going on here? So I actually gave Isaac Dulgarian credit. I did a post recap on the event, and I couldn't even post it because I was so unaware of what Isaac was up to. He sold me. He fooled me. I'll tell you guys that much. Also, Del Valle went from a plus 850, and he got bet down to all the way to a plus 500. That's insane. Soda Pop, what up? Soda Pop goes, Onama is linked with Krause too, by the way. Guy didn't even try against Garcia. Bro, what's going on, Soda Pop? Is there fight fixing in the UFC? All week last week, right? Multiple times I called it out. I was like, yo, investigate Dan Mergliotta, right? But now I wake up this morning and I'm scrolling Twitter and I'm hearing it's not Dan Mergliotta. It's Jason Herzog being investigated. Okay? Fight fixing is very prominent in the UFC apparently, and I called it, boys. I fucking called it. The refs, the system is too favored towards the refs for nobody to try to come in and corrupt those motherfuckers. The refs don't get paid enough money. They have all the power to sway fights. Who wouldn't? You know what I'm saying? Who wouldn't go after these referees? If I had bread, bro, I would be going after these referees if I was some type of criminal. I was actually saying investigate Dan Mergliotta because he's stopping fights before knockouts occur. So did somebody have a bet on the over, per se? Right? And he stopped it beforehand because Dan Mergliotta claims he can't hear. What a convenient excuse, right? To mess up and fumble opportunities in fights. Right? And nobody's going to bat an eye at you because you can't hear. Get the fuck out of the octagon then. And then Dan Mergliotta goes on. That same night, right? And forces Kevin Holland to fight. Also lies to Kevin Holland and tells him he would be DQ'd if he can't continue. Sound like fucking somebody had money on that fight and Dan Mergliotta didn't want it to end in a no contest? Sounds like it. Sounds like the bet wouldn't have cashed if the fight ended in a no contest. Sounds like Dan Mergliotta could have been getting some bread on the back end. Or maybe he already got bread on the front end. And he had to deliver a result. So I'm saying that about Dan Mergliotta. And now Jason Herzog being investigated. Still investigate Dan Mergliotta's ass. So yeah, people are claiming Dulgarian might have suffered an injury backstage before the fight. Info got leaked. People went ahead and placed tons of bets on Dulgarian. And that's fucking illegal, in the words of Dana White. Now, less than 24 hours later, or about 24 hours later, a little bit more actually, Ariel Helwani tweets out, Isaac Dulgarian, who was submitted last night by Yadier Del Valle, has been released by the UFC, sources say. He was released today. The official reason was attributed to last night's loss. However, the bout has been the center of controversy after a ton of money started to come in on Dulgarian, a sizable favorite to lose in the first, which is what happened. So that is what happened. And speaking on how Ariel is kind of pointing out how the official reason was attributed to last night's loss. However, the bout has been the center of controversy after a ton of money started to come in on Dulgarian. Okay? This right here. What this screams is that the UFC has still not, right, and likely will not, speak on this fight fixing allegation. People are already coming after the UFC, and they're saying, look, man, there was time. There was time to pull the fight, and you guys didn't. So are you guys compromised? Is the UFC compromised too? This week when I was kind of predicting, saying the UFC there might be some fishy fight fixing going on in the UFC as far as referees and betting goes and all this stuff, I put it out there and I said I don't think the UFC would be involved. So if the UFC is involved in this shit, I would be shocked to hear that. But the fact that they didn't pull this fight, people are on their bumper over that. They're on their bumper over that. And I guess we can read this article in a second, but context Ariel added was that Dulgarian was 3-1 in the UFC heading into last night, with his lone loss being a split decision to Christian Rodriguez. I think that might have been his last fight before this one. Okay, so he actually was coming off a win in the previous fight, a finish too. So yeah, come on, man. This release is fishy. Goes down to 3-2 in the promotion. Who knows if his contract was up? Who knows if he would have been released anyway? We don't know. But I'm just saying, you might want to look twice at it. You know, UFC releasing him, big grappling prospect, and not acknowledging the fight fixing. Very interesting. Wiping their hands clean of Dulgarian. Probably, you know, covering their tracks, whatever you want to call it. And let's look at this article, though. See what they had to say on here. Isaac Dulgarian cut by the UFC following suspicious loss to Yadier Del Valle at Saturday's UFC Fight Night. So it says Dulgarian came into the featherweight bout as a betting favorite, but tapped out to a rear naked choke in a fight that many onlookers deemed suspicious. The fight took place under a cloud of rumors regarding possible strange betting activity, with Dulgarian suddenly dropping from a -250 favorite to -154 just prior to the fight, according to data collected from BestFightOdds.com. The bout was apparently questionable enough that several online sportsbooks, including Caesars Sportsbook, said they would refund bets that users placed on Dulgarian to win. You see, and so the fact that these other sportsbooks took precautionary measures and the UFC, right, wasn't aware, didn't say anything about it, didn't pull the fight, you got to at least question it. You have to at least question it. And here's a tweet from Caesars Sportsbook. Mobile customers with losing bets on Dulgarian UFC fight will receive a cash credit within 24 hours for singles, or within 24 hours of the last leg being determined for parlay, super parlay, should that bet have won without that leg included. So they refunded people who lost money on Dulgarian. Interesting. Dulgarian, who was 7-1 headed into Saturday's fight at the UFC Apex, mounted little resistance against Del Valle. After initial takedown attempt, his efforts to defend against the rear naked choke were thoroughly lambasted by UFC commentator and fighter Michael Chiesa after the bout, who excoriated Dulgarian on the ESPN Plus broadcast. Yeah, that was brutal. That was brutal by Chiesa. He basically, I mean, here's just a simple quote. I've got to be honest here, that was an F performance. It was absolute trash. This is not the first time rumors of suspicious betting line movement have accompanied the UFC undercard bout. UFC featherweight Derek Minner was cut by the UFC in 2022 following a TKO loss to Shailene Nordin-Becky that was also accompanied by sudden late movement in the betting odds. That incident later came under investigation, with both Minner and his coach James Krause earning suspensions from the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Prior to that, South Korean fighter Tai Hyung Bang was handed a 10-month prison sentence after accepting a bribe to lose a UFC prelim bout to Leo Kuntz at an event in Seoul. In that instance, Bang was reportedly warned by UFC officials after the suspicious betting line movement was spotted. He ended up winning the fight via split decision, but was sentenced along with 3 others involved in the scheme. Now, the other thing that was interesting is that Dulgarian, before the fight, Dulgarian is over here speaking about sports betting. And this is just in my opinion. Okay, this is my opinion. He's just spewing James Krause rhetoric here. Like this guy, tell me you've been brainwashed by James Krause without telling me you've been brainwashed by James Krause, okay? This guy right here. Insane like victim mentality, like oh like come on, dude. Come on. Screams James Krause.
Don't bet on me unless you're paying me some percentage. I'm doing all the work. That's how I feel about it. You know what I mean? Like I work my ass off every day. I'm trying to support a family with this, and I think they should put some type of clause, like 3 or 5% of what you make goes to the fighter. So that's how I think they should do it, because we're the ones putting our lives on the line. We're the ones, sacrificing everything, training all day long, losing a social life, all that type of stuff. So yeah, if you're betting on me, I want some of it.
This dude fucking lost the plot, bro. This dude fucking lost the plot. You can even see he's getting a little bit fired up just speaking about it. He's so like, he thinks he's so right about that. Please, bro.
Hey, I said don't bet on me unless you're paying me some percentage. I'm doing all the work. That's how I feel about it.
I'm doing all the work. Well, brother, you did all the work in losing, and now you're cut from the UFC. You did the work for sure. You did that. I want to pull up that guy. So Harry Mack. Harry Mack is his name. This is getting 2.2 million views right now, okay? 2.2 million. So Harry Mack goes, very important tidbit here. The FBI notified the UFC of the abnormal action and line movement and gave them hours to pull the fight. They chose to continue and from my perspective are now complicit in fixing a fight. Okay, so here it is. And then you hear about how the UFC is releasing Dulgarian because he lost, right? Not because of the accusations, the allegations. Then he adds, and he goes, update, federal regulators have flagged over 100 UFC fights this year for abnormal betting patterns, including 2 additional fighters on last night's card. Shit is about to get very ugly. Still working to confirm, but it sounds like the feds are moving to audit Herzog's fights. Herzog getting audited. We're going to pull up Herzog right now, but okay, so Herzog responding to this tweet, he goes, he has proven understand the rules, so it's easy to see when he's been shady. FBI, Jason Herzog is guilty. Herzog responds, brilliant, tags FBI. Then he responds to Harry Mack directly, and he goes, first, the late great Oma, Kimbo Slice, RIP news call in, now this. I have no clue what this means. What the hell is going on here? Is this the actual Jason Herzog, and would you consider taking legal action against the people accusing you of fight fixing? Probably more fun to just troll them. To be fair to the critics, I'm in a position where decisions you make are scrutinized and some of decisions could have or should have been different. That's fine to a point, but the point you need to arrive at after scrutiny is that's the right call. You have one of the most thankless jobs in the world. I used to think that being a UFC referee was my dream job. Not so sure now. People say it's the best seat in the house. I'd say it's the hottest. So Harry Mack responded. Damn, Harry Mack's up right now. He told me he wasn't going to be awake. What the hell's going on? Harry Mack was going to come on the pod. What up, Andrew? Harry Mack goes, LARPing as an MMA ref on Twitter is such a good bit. I can't even be mad. Actually, I can. Save the transphobia loser. LOL. Wow. A guy with long hair must be transsexual. Get some new material, you boomer. Fuck. What the hell is going on with all these fucking... You seem upset, a symptom of the hormones I hear. So is Harry Mack trans? Oh. Herzog goes, Harry Mack is in mid-transition and seems open to your request. Is Harry Mack trans? What the hell? Who is this dude? Well, bye, Herzog. We won't miss you. I thought Herzog was good, man. To be honest with you, I didn't, I thought he was one of the good ones. Innocent until proven guilty. I'm not sure who Harry Mack is. We'll get him on the podcast, though.